At this point, any inquiries in the future, you'll want to talk with the North Shore Fire Department as well as with Bayshore. I'm going to turn it over to the chief from the North Shore Fire Department as well as the assistant chief from the Milwaukee Fire Department to give a report.
Good afternoon, my name is Robert, common spelling, last name W-H-I-T-A-K-E-R, Whitaker. I'm the fire chief with North Shore Fire Rescue. About 12:15 today, we were dispatched to what's commonly called the Silver Spring parking garage at Bayshore Mall. That's the building directly behind us for a report that the part of the parking structure had collapsed. Our initial response to that type of incident does bring a large number of resources from not only our department, but the City of Milwaukee Fire Department and their structural collapse team, or heavy urban rescue team. Assistant Chief Dwayne Smoots is with us also today. Companies on scene found that a portion of the structure had collapsed from the third floor down in a pancake type collapse. There were 2 cars known to be in the collapse area. The cars were it was unknown if they were occupied and unknown if there's any pedestrian traffic. It's a large pedestrian traffic area with the various stores and shopping center here. We have now worked through watching video of security video of that area. Bayshore Mall has a large video presence throughout the property. We were able to view that video, and we feel, based on that video and also talking to the owner of the 2 cars that are in the snow pile behind us, that there is no one in that space. We are, however, working now to use some heavy equipment just to remove the snow that's piled there and some of the structural members just to verify that. We would like to see that with our own eyes, but the video is very clear, and our team is highly confident that there was no one in that area when this happened. So luckily we, at this point, have no injuries. We are going to probably be here at least another hour, removing some of the snow and the debris. The heavy urban rescue team and the structural collapse unit is working with the property owner's engineering firm and the manufacturer of some of the spans of concrete that are there on the engineering side of all this to make sure that it is indeed not in danger of any further collapse. And they have people on site now, and I'm assuming they'll have people on site for the next several hours. There are cars in that parking garage that are unaffected by the actual collapse, but are unable to exit because this is the sole ramp outside of this to get out of the garage. Bayshore Mall is working with their security and the Glendale Police on the process to recover people, to at least get to their cars to recover items that they may want to get out, but we do not expect they'll be able to remove those cars yet today. So with that, I would take any questions.
What can you tell us about structural engineering, about regulations, how often these types of structures should be checked?
I am not familiar with that type of...
Do you know who is?
Boy, I would say that's probably going to be, the building inspector was here, but I'm not familiar if that's in their realm of responsibility.
You talked about the stability of the remaining structure here. You do have people working underneath it right now. How confident are you that that's safe for them to be doing?
Yeah, we have, before we did that, after we have verified we didn't have a life safety issue, we are much more confident moving them in there, that we've conferred with the engineers and they're confident that it's a safe space to work. It's not something that we would want general pedestrian traffic in, but enough that we're willing to take that risk to get in there to actually make sure we don't have any life safety issues.
How long before pedestrian traffic can resume and people can get their cars that are stuck in there?
Months, potentially.
Months, potentially?
Yeah, it's going to be a while. I mean, that is the ramp down to get out.
Yeah.
So, and literally from the third floor down, it's a wide open hole.
So, Chief, is it, what you're telling us then is that's not just shards of concrete, that the actual ramp is damaged?
The actual ramp, the third floor is in the first floor right now.
So it's not as easy as just moving those second and third floors so they can drive down?
Well, I mean, I guess if they got an engineer to say that it's safe, they maybe could do that, but that's beyond mine.
The students who are in here who are being held, are they being let out? I know I was speaking with some students who said that their friends were in class, that they were being held in and not evacuated from the building. Are they allowed to leave yet?
Yeah, I'm not aware, unless the property had or the school had done something to hold their students. We did not ask for anything to happen to pull people into the building.
Clarification. I mean, was it because of the snow or snow removal? I mean, was it all sitting there and that's why it collapsed? Do we know why?
I don't know why yet, but it appears snow would be some likely impact to the collapse.
I mean, there's more snow that's there than anywhere else. I mean, it's a concentration of snow, fair to say.
I think it's a fair statement.
Do you know if snow had been piled up in that area, like plowed into a...
I don't know. Yeah.
The video show
I'm sorry.
a car like just about to enter when the roof collapsed.
I'm not aware of that. I have not personally seen that video.
How many cars are you saying? Two have been affected. How many cars total were stuck?
I don't have a good estimate off the top of my head. We can get that for you, but I would be guessing if I told you.
Should that video be made public?
That's going to be property of Bayshore Mall, so that would be something they'd have to have for
Mayor,
you.
can we talk to you for just a minute, just about, I mean, this is obviously an important property here in Glendale. I mean, what does this mean to the community to have this happen, and does it raise concerns about other structures here on the property?
Well, I mean, I think anytime this happens, we've certainly seen this around the Milwaukee area before, right, where there have been incidents like this. It certainly does raise concerns. But, our experience with the redevelopment of Bayshore and the huge expansion that's taking place on the north and east side, is they're getting regularly inspected. As a matter of fact, the Glendale building inspector was here for a series of inspections in the apartments that are being built, so he walked over to see what was going on here. So, we're regularly working with the folks at Bayshore. So, I mean, I'm confident that, we'll continue to have a strong relationship with Bayshore. We may have a limited amount of parking here on the southwest side of the property for a while, but there's certainly, I certainly don't have any concerns about other structural problems on the property.
Do you consider this like a stroke of luck? I mean, people park here every day. I talk to plenty of people. Are stroke of luck.
I was parked here yesterday when I went to Trader Joe's.
Yeah,
I absolutely. I mean, we certainly dodged a bullet on this one. We certainly did.
How old is the structure?
This would have been built in 2005 and 6. Bayshore reopened with the redevelopment in 2006.
Do you know who the engineering firm was?
I don't. That would probably, I'd have to talk with my city planner to find that. So.
Is it the city that's in charge of inspections and regulation?
So the city does inspections, yes, but there is an engineer for Bayshore, and I would ask you to refer any questions about engineering directly to Bayshore because they hire their own engineers.
Mayor, the chief couldn't address this. Maybe you can, since the inspector is your employee. What was his assessment of what he saw when he came here?
I didn't get a full assessment from him other than he came and walked around and looked at the property, and he felt confident enough that he could go back over to continue his inspection of the apartments.
So he left and he moved on.
Yeah. Yep.
Generally, those guys, those inspectors are they're not engineers, so they are, from a legal perspective, have the ability to restrict access to things. They're not necessarily the guy or the person that's going to come and do engineering access.
Do you think this is a case where you need an engineer or inspector to come in, since Bayshore is kind of engineering their own property here? Do you need to have your own better eyes on this than Bayshore's people and just trusting their word for it?
So there are a series of inspections that take place. It's not just Bayshore's engineers that sign off on their own work. I mean, there are state inspectors as well. Yeah.
Chief, I got a question. There are a lot of parking garages, not only here, but across the area, all got hit by the same amount of snow. Advice to anyone who's in charge of one of those today?
Yeah, so we did, the police department working with us did do a visual check of the other parking garages on this property, just so we had an idea of whether or not there was any sort of risk. I would clarify my statement that we're not positive snow is the cause of the collapse, but we likely think it's involved. And so, yeah, I mean, yesterday's snow was heavier than most snow. I mean, I went out and snowblowed and plowed my driveway twice yesterday and this morning. I got a good workout, and it was probably some of the heaviest snow I've dealt with in a while. And you can see just walking around, you have a lot of water, so heavier the snow, more weight, that gives you a risk. So piling snow on a property is probably, especially that's elevated, not a good idea.
We had a couple of people, Chief, tell us about some crumbling concrete inside, some regular parkers here who are here often throughout the week. What did you see inside as you're assessing whether it's safe for your crews to operate?
So I haven't personally been in there. We had members of our team in there. They did not see anything that led them to believe to be concerned.
Can this be repaired?
That would be a question that I would leave to an engineer.
When did the city last inspect the garage?
So the city does not do the inspections of the garages. We have other outside inspectors that do those. So.
Do you know when the last time?
I don't. I'd have to check with my city planner on that.
Generally, inspections of buildings, like a store, those are done, like a fire inspection, that's done annually. The parking garages, because they're not occupied spaces, they don't fall in that space, so I'm not familiar with who would be responsible for that.
Mayor, can I just ask you, when you first heard about this happening, I mean, what were your first thoughts? What were your fears? How are you feeling now with what seems to have happened here?
Obviously, I was concerned that there might have been a loss of life. I'm very happy to hear from the fire and rescue folks that they're confident that there aren't any people under there. So that was my first concern. I actually was on my way to leave to take my wife to the airport. She drove herself and paid to park, so because I felt it was more important to be here, obviously.
So our intention, we will put out a press release with any more details, something in writing for all you. Send it to your news desks probably in the next 2 hours. And we'll be here about an hour at least, just to we want to get eyes on what's underneath this pile. But at this point, we're fairly confident there's no one in that space.
And ultimately, you said it could be upwards of a month before people can get their cars out of here?
Yeah, I think that depending on what the engineers can come up with, the ramp that you physically drive down is the space that's impacted. So that's the one way in and out of this garage.
Chief, what's the technique here? There's folks there, we see the bobcats, we've seen firefighters with hand shovels. What is the technique to use?
So for now, they're doing the hand shovels we used earlier. We wanted to, until we could verify occupancy, it's a little less, if you have someone in there, you don't want to be picking it up with a bobcat if you don't have to. Now they're just coming up with a game plan to actually move that snow out and probably pile it up here with the front end loaders, and then we'll watch as they go and hopefully get a visual on the cars and can come back and tell you guys later that no one's in there. All right, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.